Hi everyone, welcome to round 3 of Rapid 1 from the 2013 British Championships. I was meant to be playing Taran Malhotra, who is an incredibly strong junior of nearly 200 ECF, but they forgot he had a bye, which is rather funny. Not sure why. There was a couple of things going on around during this Rapid. There was a thick drink bullet chest match between GM Keith Arkle and I am Gary Lane, both from Pennington, which is around the corner from Torquay, which Keith won quite comfortably, I think. It's got the thing. It's sponsored by Think Drink as well, which is some drinks that has a very weird taste but helps you think. And there was like £2 bottle, which is a rip off. Because you know me, I'm a cheapskate. So I got prepared. I was also a Nick Pert symbol as well, which a lot of I don't know if you played it or not, but a lot of juniors were in it when I looked. But this time I was playing I got repaired against Peter Finn, who actually had a long play of 153, which is higher than mine, but his rapid was a staggering 48 points lower at 121. And I hate it when I get someone who's a lot lower at one discipline than the other. Anyway, he played e4. I played e5 again. I kept the faith. He played bishop c4, which is the bishop's opening. Knight came to f6, and now he played knight f3. Usually they play in this position d3, and a lot of lines transpose. The only independent line is to play c6. White plays something like this. He does. And black usually gets quite a good centre, but white usually gets a lot of pressure on it. But he played knight f3, which leads to the Qe2 gambit. If I take on e4, you play knight c3, and then you get like a lot of like pressure for the pawn. And although it's probably not completely sound, I can just play knight c6, and now we transpose to e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4. But now we play knight g5, which is actually a line which I think is really bad for white, even though it's probably the best line, because I think it's very difficult to play. This leads to sort of fried liver positions. For a start, black plays d5, usually, like black plays d5, and white takes, and then, if white plays knight takes d5, white can play the fried liver with knight takes f7, but the lordly attack is probably strongest. And I don't really know any theory on this because you never see me play it as black, but this is incredibly dangerous. So after usually playing knight a5, and you get some interesting lines where the bishop will check in and you play c6 and gambit a pawn. Or in fact, after c6, white actually plays something like so he takes. White will play something like queen f3 to protect the bishop, and then black will just sack it with the rook in the corner and get an attack, and it's very sharp stuff. Also, knight d4 is playable. Someone was showing me this actually. There's some nice little trap to this which I can't remember off the top of my head in this line, where black ends up sacrificing f7, but white gets mated or something. But actually, I played bishop c5 in this position. So why would I play bishop c5? Am I just a patzer? Have I just overlooked the threats in f7? I mean, I'm a patzer to be fair, but I'm not quite that patzerish. So white can actually take on f7 with 2 pieces, and also one of them fox, king, and queen. My opponent actually took with the bishop. Let's see what happens if you take with the knight. If knight takes f7. This is, by the way, this is called the Traxler variation. Black actually sacks the bishop on f2, and white's best move is actually to decline it, and then black will play queen e7, sack the rook in the corner, and then play d5. And after taking, then bring the knight into the game, threatening stuff like bishop g4, trapping the queen. It's all very nasty, essentially. Although I think white would best play. I think best play his line's actually a draw. Taking the bishop is very risky. After king takes f2, the knight comes into e4 with check, unleashing the queen to h4. And there's some beautiful games with this line, and maybe I'll do a video on it at some point, showing all the fun you can have. But white played bishop takes f7 check, which is actually a safe move, because the point of this is that white's just going to win a pawn and retreat his bishop, and back with a lot of conversation down the f file. Play king f8. Now he played bishop d5, which is getting his lines mixed up, because the bishop comes back to d5 if the king is on e7. Because now I play knight takes d5, e takes d5, and queen takes g5, and this is actually already pretty good for black. I'm actually not even going to be a pawn down when the complications finish, because now I'm threatening queen takes g2. So if he grabs the knight instantly, then queen takes g2, rook h1, and just calmly take back, threatening bishop h3. He's completely winning for black. So he has to play his check first to defend g2 with tempo. I go to e7, which is the best square, because I don't want, after d takes c6, him taking on d7 with check or something. And I also want to keep the rook active. Now he has to take my knight. And actually, I thought I was tossing in rook f8 first, which is by far the strongest. But I thought I can just maybe take on b7. Threatening to get another queen, but actually this is completely rubbish, because after rook takes f3, he gets a queen. I play queen takes g2, hitting the rook on h1, and also threatening to mate an attack on f2, so white actually has to give his queen up, which of course now is lost. In fact, actually white has got 2 rooks for his queen, but if you look at all the threats, I've got bishop a6, got bishop b7, the rook's under attack, he has to go to f1, then we check here, king has to move, and then we play bishop takes f2. Because if rook takes, we have check, and queen takes c1, and white is lost because the rook is going to, that rook drops in the corner by force. But this is all very deep tactics. This for a rapid game. We'd already took 5 minutes off our clocks before the start, due to it's starting late. We only had 15 minutes plus 10 seconds increments. But being the hardcore I am, I still wrote down. I just played d takes c6, which after castles, surprisingly, this Reeb can't give this as equal. I mean, how is this equal? I've got all my pieces developed pretty much. I've got open lines at white's king, and white's got all his pieces in the box. I mean, how is this equal? Someone tell me. How? I played rook f8, and now we played d4, which is not good. It's the right idea, but you should play d3 so the pawn's not unfreezing. And actually, maybe this is starting to get to equal. Actually, no, it's queen's under attack. Oops. And then maybe this is equal. Well, he played d4, which is quite nasty. It was quite nasty because my queen actually hangs with check. So I give a take is I drop an exchange. And there's an interesting exchange sack where I can try queen takes c1, queen takes f8 check, king takes f8, rook takes c1, e takes d4 with some compensation, but I think it's stronger just to move the queen. And now white has to move his queen, he goes to e2, and now I play bishop takes d4. Now this looks rather flawed, this. It looks like white's got a very nice move in this position, but for what happens in the game, king h1 is practically the only move. And then of course I can play something like bishop f5. But he played c3, which looks very strong, because if I move the bishop, my pawn hangs with check on e5. And then white's pieces might flood into the attack, but there is a nasty surprise in this position, which wins the game instantly for black. At move 13, if you want to try and spot it, please stop the video now. Now, I gave a bit of a clue by saying king h1 was the only move, because bishop h3 just wins on the spot. And he could have resigned in this position actually, but instead of winning in 13 moves, I won in 15 moves, which is still my quickest win ever with the black pieces. So why does this win? Well, there is a mate threatened on g2, so my bishop is immune. And how does white defend it? There isn't any squares the queen can defend it with. The only way to defend it is to move the g-pawn, that hangs the rook, and the problem is then f2 hangs as well. Rubikar given an evaluation of over 14 points, and this was a good cheapo. You play g3, I took the rook, and after he took back I play rook takes f2 and forced resignation, because it's just completely lost. White is down a lot of material. White's king and queen are hanging. This is just not good. And okay, I was playing someone a lot lower rated, but the fact they've got a higher long player than me says they're quite a decent player. And very nice game that. And I must have showed it about 52 times since. And in fact, I had loads of like strong 200 plus players analysing it as well, so which I was quite happy to see. And puts me on a nice 2.5 out of 3. I'll bet if I had 2 very lucky repairs, I was meant to be playing 200 players and played 120s instead. So now it is going to be a tough game, and in fact I was on more points than Matt Hebden at this point. Anyway, now best start to the British, and please leave any comments and thoughts. Thanks very much.